Picture yourself walking calmly through life, doing nothing but minding your own path, when suddenly someone crosses your way and drops a comment that feels like a knife. Maybe they laugh at your looks. Maybe they question your worth as a human being. Maybe they aim directly at your achievements, trying to break what you've built with years of sweat and persistence. How do most people react? They flare up instantly, lose their composure, and allow anger to take over. They rush into defending themselves as if the approval of a stranger decides their destiny. Their peace evaporates in seconds because they allow words, mere vibrations of air, to dictate their inner state. Yet centuries ago, Machiavelli understood something most still fail to grasp even today. When you allow insults to shift your emotions, you have already lost the battle before it began. The very instant you let rage, shame, or desperation govern your actions, you're handing your enemies the keys to your fortress. True defeat doesn't arrive when someone attacks you. It arrives when you surrender your self-control. But here is the revelation. There exists a level of mental strength where you become untouchable, where no insult penetrates, where nothing anyone says shakes the empire of your calmness. Imagine reaching a condition where every attempt to provoke you collapses like water splashing against unyielding rock. Your aura of composure becomes more unsettling than the loudest scream of fury. People begin to fear not your wrath, but your unbreakable silence. This is not about simple tips or casual advice. It is about a ruthless philosophy of discipline, the darker art of psychological mastery, the very mindset that could keep a man unshaken in a world drenched with betrayal and chaos. By the time you reach the end of this teaching, you will understand how to step into the role of the one who cannot be disturbed, who refuses to hand over power, who denies enemies the joy of seeing even a flicker of weakness. From now on, claim this truth aloud. I am unmovable. I am untouchable. The foundation of this entire philosophy is detachment. People only hurt you because you silently grant them permission. Stop and reflect. Words, in themselves, are nothing more than sounds. They contain no inherent weaponry. The sharpness comes only from your decision to let them cut. The reality is this: power doesn't exist in the insult. Power exists in your response. The moment you decline to react, you snatch away the very oxygen that fuels your opponent's fire. Most assume that not responding, not rising to the bait, is weakness, but that's a lie. Indifference is not submission, it is dominance. It is the purest form of control. When you no longer dance to the rhythm of provocation, you become the conductor of your own symphony. That kind of sovereignty makes you dangerous, not in a destructive way, but in a way that makes you immune, unpredictable, and resistant to manipulation. This danger is the kind that inspires respect. And that is where the dark laws begin. The principles Machiavelli himself would approve of, crafted to harden your mind against every storm. The first law: anticipate disrespect before it strikes. Most people stroll through life expecting fairness, expecting others to be kind, expecting the world to play by rules. But such expectations are a setup for heartbreak. The truth is simple. Disrespect is rarely accidental. It is a weapon. It is a probe to test your stability, a manipulation to bend your will. If you are always shocked when betrayal or mockery arrives, it is because you walked with your guard lowered. Expect it, and nothing shakes you. Life is like walking through a rough neighborhood. You don't gasp when you see trouble. You remain vigilant. Wise individuals prepare for hostility. Fools act bewildered each time it comes. The one who prepares stands tall, calm, steady. The one who assumes kindness crumbles when cruelty surfaces. From today, embrace realism. Anticipate envy. Anticipate criticism. Anticipate mockery. When you know it's coming, their attempts fall flat. You rob their weapons of effect by refusing to be surprised. This is not pessimism, it is armor. The second law: silence is sharper than any rebuttal. The greatest comeback you can give your enemies is no comeback at all. Every insult is bait designed to lure your emotions into the open. They want to watch your face twist, hear your tone crack, see you abandon reason. That reaction is their victory. Your silence is your triumph. Recall a moment when you withheld your words during provocation, watching the other person squirm in confusion, scrambling harder, second guessing themselves. Silence breeds uncertainty. Uncertainty breeds discomfort. Discomfort breeds respect. It builds mystery, and mystery is feared more than transparency. But silence must be chosen, not born of defeat. The silence of pain signals weakness. The silence of decision radiates strength. Practice by pausing before speaking. Then extend the pause into refusal to answer. Observe how your absence of reaction erodes their ego far deeper than any insult could. Remember this creed: silence is strength. The third law: never let emotion reveal your weakness. Rage, tears, frantic explanations, all of these betray your vulnerable points. When you put your wounds on display, enemies know exactly where to strike next time. Mastery doesn't demand erasing emotions. Mastery requires controlling them. The strong feel everything yet display nothing. The untrained wear every feeling on their sleeve, making themselves a map for manipulation. Your chest may burn, your pulse may race, but dominance lies in what you choose to display. Hold yourself calm, even in fire. That is the kind of power that makes others cautious, even fearful. Train yourself by imagining every heated encounter happening to someone else. What advice would you give them? Follow it. Emotions are signals, not orders. They alert you, but they don't command you. Affirm this to yourself: I rule myself. The fourth law: seize the frame. Never fall into defense. Here lies a trap countless people walk into. When someone questions you, you rush to defend, you explain, you justify, you scramble to prove, but defending accepts their rules of engagement. It implies their judgment matters. Strong individuals don't need to answer every critic. Confident individuals don't justify every move. The way of power is to redirect, reframe, dismiss. If accused of inadequacy, instead of arguing credentials, simply remark, that's your perspective, and move on. By doing so, you communicate that their words weigh nothing. Control the narrative. Make them play inside your world, not drag you into theirs. Machiavelli said, everyone sees what you appear to be. Few know what you truly are. Do not allow trivial accusations to pull you into petty battles. Choose when and how you respond, on your terms, not theirs. Repeat this: I control the frame. The fifth law: detach completely from opinions, whether they uplift or diminish. Most focus only on escaping criticism, forgetting that dependence on praise is equally enslaving. If your joy depends on compliments, then insults will shatter you. Praise and criticism are twin chains, both bind you to the whims of others. True freedom means standing on your own foundation, your discipline, your values, your inner compass. Accept feedback if it helps you grow, but never allow it to define your worth. Neither applause nor condemnation should sway your stability. Build your circle with voices that matter, those who know your truth, who challenge you honestly, who carry wisdom. To everyone else, treat their opinions as noise, irrelevant vibrations lost in the wind. Free yourself from external validation, and you walk unchained. For 1 week, test yourself. Seek no approval, ask for no compliments, ignore metrics of likes or shares. Feel the liberation in self-sufficiency. Declare this: I validate myself. The sixth law: reward control, discipline reaction. Your mind is like an athlete's body. It strengthens with training. Each time you stay calm under provocation, reward yourself. Reinforce the pattern. Each time you fall into anger or chaos, discipline yourself, so the cost of losing control is felt. This is how you forge unbreakable habits. Over time, your brain learns that composure brings reward, while rashness brings correction. Through this, emotional mastery becomes second nature. Step by step, you transform into the one who cannot be swayed, the one who cannot be manipulated, the one whose silence, calmness, and detachment are more intimidating than aggression itself. You become the storm contained within stillness, the predator who does not reveal its strike, the leader who commands respect without demanding it. And above all, you become untouchable. Picture this not as a lesson wrapped in abstract words, but as a practice for life. Self control isn't about punishing yourself when you fall short, nor is it about being unreasonably harsh in moments of weakness. It's about setting up systems that reward discipline and discourage reckless reactions. The human mind works through patterns, consequences, and reinforcement. If your brain begins to associate composure with satisfaction and rash reactions with discomfort, it starts automatically leaning toward calmness. This isn't philosophy, it's practical psychology. Think about it. If every time you hold your ground and refuse to react to provocation, you treat yourself to a small victory, whether that's enjoying a meal you love, taking a warm bath, or giving yourself quiet time with your favorite hobby, you're telling your subconscious that calmness is rewarding. On the other hand, if every time you lose your temper, you enforce discipline, maybe through extra exercise, a freezing shower, or a strict no entertainment evening, you're training your brain to see emotional explosions as costly. Over time, this conditioning makes control your natural state instead of something you force. Most people try to build resilience using sheer willpower, but willpower is like a battery. It drains, especially under pressure. Once it's depleted, you're left exposed, vulnerable to provocation. Instead of leaning entirely on willpower, wise individuals design frameworks that make the desirable choice the default choice. Machiavelli once observed that humans are easily influenced by immediate necessity, and that deception thrives when people allow themselves to be guided without foresight. Don't deceive yourself into believing you'll always power through. Instead, create mechanisms that shape you without effort. When calmness feels instinctive and reacting feels alien, you've rewired your very being. That's where transformation begins. Drop this thought into your mind. I discipline and reward myself with intent. Now let's shift to a weapon few ever master: indifference. Most believe that when insulted, one must fire back, defend, or prove worth. But true strength isn't in striking back. It's in showing that you simply don't care enough to be affected. Indifference is heavier than rage, sharper than comebacks, and deadlier to manipulators than any insult could be. When someone tries to control you with words, they expect your energy. They expect fire, tears, explanations. If they receive nothing instead, if you treat their jab like dust in the air, you annihilate their power. Imagine the torment of someone who desperately wants to provoke you, only to find you unmoved. It rattles them. It exposes their desperation. Your silence, paired with genuine disinterest, cracks their ego deeper than aggression ever could. The challenge, however, is authenticity. Pretending not to care rarely works. People can smell pretense. Real indifference is rooted in deeper priorities. You're not ignoring them because you're acting strong. You're ignoring them because you are too focused on your mission, your loved ones, your growth, your purpose. You're investing your emotions in places that matter, so you literally have no energy to waste on trivialities. Machiavelli once described the fox and the lion: cunning to detect traps, strength to deter predators. Apply this to provocation. Be sly enough to see the bait. Be bold enough to dismiss it without flinching. That is indifference at work. But there's more. When others direct hostility at you, they unintentionally hand you energy. Most waste it, exploding in anger, arguing, or drowning in insecurity. The wise redirect it. An insult about your ambition, let it push you to double your efforts. A sneer about your intelligence, let it drive you to sharpen your mind. Mockery of your looks, turn it into motivation to care for your body. Every arrow launched at you can either pierce you or fuel your fire. It depends on how you hold it. Critics reveal more about themselves than about you. They tell you where their own insecurities lie, and they hint at where they think you're weak. Use this knowledge strategically. Transform every insult into raw material for your growth. Instead of burning yourself out with petty clashes, invest that energy into becoming undeniable. As Machiavelli himself put it, the goal isn't to maintain the status quo, it's to overturn it, overthrow their expectations, defy their predictions. Let every attempt to weaken you become the stone that sharpens your blade. Then comes the choice of response. Cold, calculated detachment. People often imagine they must either forgive completely or retaliate fiercely when wrong. But there's a middle path, strategic calculation. Revenge isn't a duty, it's a tool. You're not obligated to strike back every time you're attacked. Sometimes revenge serves a purpose. It safeguards your image, sets an example, or protects long term interests. Other times, it drains your energy and distracts you from greater goals. The strong weigh the cost and the gain. Does retaliation benefit your future? Does it secure something vital? Does it align with your purpose? If yes, act deliberately on your terms when the advantage is yours. If not, let go. Not because you're weak, but because you're wise enough to prioritize. Pride often pushes people into pointless battles, draining their power. Calculation allows you to rise above, conserving energy for wars that matter. As Machiavelli warned, greatness involves risk, but not all risks are worth the climb. Finally, there is the highest principle, detachment. This is the armor that makes you untouchable. People can only wound you if they locate the chinks in your armor, your deepest attachments, the things you cling to so tightly that any attack against them shakes you. But detachment doesn't mean living without care. It means caring without being enslaved. Love your family deeply, but don't let threats dictate your sanity. Take pride in your work, but don't let criticism annihilate your confidence. Strive for success, but don't let setbacks collapse your spirit. Detachment transforms wants into preferences rather than dependencies. You value things, but you don't need them to define your inner stability. When you detach, outside forces lose their hold. Manipulators find no levers to pull, no strings to tug. You become, in the truest sense, unshakable. This isn't coldness, it's sovereignty, the kind of sovereignty that makes people respect you, even if they don't always like you. They recognize your independence, your composure, your refusal to be controlled. That kind of respect is more enduring than fleeting affection. Machiavelli observed that one who is held in high esteem is harder to conspire against. And esteem doesn't come from popularity, it comes from strength. So, how do you cultivate detachment? Practice holding victories and failures lightly. Celebrate success, but don't chain your worth to it. Learn from failure, but don't let it crush your spirit. Cherish relationships, but don't be desperate for approval. Engage fully in life, but stand independent of outcomes. This balance is the essence of being untouchable. By now, you see the pattern. These 10 laws aren't distant theories. They are tools forged through centuries of observation, sharpened by the wisdom of masters who understood power at its core. They teach you not merely to survive in a chaotic world, but to thrive in it with unshakable calm. Remember this: indifference isn't apathy, it's mastery. Silence isn't weakness, it's control. Detachment isn't coldness, it's freedom. When others lash out tomorrow, recall the law of silence. When criticism comes next week, embrace detachment. When drama seeks to pull you in next month, remain sovereign. But knowledge without action is worthless. These truths will only shape you if you live them. Start small. Pick one law that speaks to you most. Practice it daily until it becomes part of you. Then add another and another until your entire life reflects these principles. Soon, you'll be the person people cannot figure out. The one who stays serene while everyone else collapses under pressure. The one who stands unmoved by chaos. The untouchable one. So, ask yourself, will you keep reacting like the masses, giving your power away with every provocation? Or will you rise into the rare state of mastery where neither praise nor insult can disturb your center? The weak are tossed like leaves in the wind. The strong direct the storm. And the masters, they don't even need to fight it. They simply remain unbothered, unbroken, unstoppable. Drop this final affirmation deep into your soul. I am calm. I am sovereign. I am untouchable. The world can roar, but I will remain still. The crowd can provoke, but I will remain in command. And in that stillness lies the highest form of power, the kind that cannot be taken, cannot be faked, and cannot be broken.